Hello everyone and welcome to today's English lecture. In this lesson, we are going to learn one of the most important topics in English grammar, the use of was and were. These two words are very common in daily English speaking, writing, storytelling, conversations, interviews, and exams. If you understand how to use was and were correctly, your English will immediately sound more natural and more fluent. Many English learners become confused about when to use was and when to use were. Sometimes they say, she were happy, or they was playing. These mistakes are common, but after this lecture, you will clearly understand the difference and use them confidently in your daily English. Today we will discuss the meaning of was and were, their grammatical role, where they are used, sentence structures, positive sentences, negative sentences, interrogative sentences, common mistakes, daily life examples, conversation examples, and practice examples. By the end of this lecture, you will have a strong understanding of this topic. So let us begin. First of all, was and were are past forms of the verb to be. In present tense, we use am, is, and are. In past tense, we use was and were. Look at this carefully. Am becomes was. Is becomes was. Are becomes were. This means when we talk about the past, we replace am and is with was, and are with were. For example, I am tired. In past tense. I was tired. She is happy. In past tense. She was happy. They are students. In past tense. They were students. Now let us understand was and were separately. Use of was. Was is used with singular subjects. It is commonly used with I, he, she, it, and singular nouns. The basic structure is subject plus was plus object or complement. Examples. I was at home. He was sick yesterday. She was my best friend. The cat was hungry. Ali was absent from class. In all these examples, the subjects are singular, so we use was. Now let us understand the use of were. Use of were. Were is used with plural subjects and with you. The basic structure is subject plus were plus object or complement. Examples. You were late today. They were excited. We were friends. The boys were playing cricket. My parents were happy. In all these examples, the subjects are plural or the subject is you, so we use were. Now let us study this in detail. Why do we use was and were? We use was and were to talk about past situations, past conditions, past feelings, past locations, and past actions in continuous tense. For example, I was tired. She was in Lahore. They were angry. We were watching television. These sentences describe something that happened in the past. Now let us understand different sentence types. Positive sentences with was. Positive sentences simply give information. Structure. Subject plus was plus complement. Examples. I was busy yesterday. He was a doctor. She was nervous before the exam. The weather was cold. My brother was at school. Positive sentences with were. Structure. Subject plus were plus complement. Examples. They were in the park. We were classmates. You were very kind. The children were noisy. The books were on the table. Negative sentences with was. To make negative sentences, we add not after was. Structure. Subject plus was plus not plus complement. Examples. I was not tired. He was not at home. She was not angry. The food was not good. The movie was not interesting. In spoken English, was not is often shortened to wasn't. Examples. I wasn't ready. He wasn't serious. She wasn't sad. Negative sentences with were. Structure. Subject plus were plus not plus complement. Examples. They were not late. We were not friends before. You were not wrong. The students were not quiet. The shoes were not expensive. In spoken English, were not becomes weren't. Examples. They weren't busy. We weren't hungry. You weren't there. Interrogative sentences with was. Interrogative sentences are questions. To make questions, we place was before the subject. Structure. Was plus subject plus complement plus question mark. Examples. Was he absent yesterday? Was she your teacher? Was the food delicious? Was I wrong? Was the test difficult? Interrogative sentences with were. Structure. Were plus subject plus complement plus question mark. Examples. Were they happy? Were you sleeping? Were we late? Were the players tired? Were the children at school? Negative interrogative sentences. These are questions in negative form. Examples. Wasn't he ready? Weren't they invited? Wasn't she your friend? Weren't you busy? Wasn't the weather nice? Now let us move deeper into understanding the real usage of was and were. Was and were in continuous tense. Was and were are also used in past continuous tense. In this tense, we use a verb with ing. Structure. Subject plus was or were plus verb with ing. Examples with was. I was studying. He was sleeping. She was cooking dinner. The baby was crying. The dog was barking. Examples with were. They were playing football. We were watching television. You were talking loudly. The girls were dancing. The birds were flying. This tense describes actions that were happening at a specific time in the past. For example, at 8 p.m., I was reading a book. Yesterday evening, they were playing cricket. Now let us understand an important grammar point. Was and were with there. We often use there was and there were to describe the existence of something in the past. Use there was for singular nouns. Examples. There was a cat in the garden. There was a problem. There was an old house near the river. There was a loud noise outside. There was a long queue at the bank. Use there were for plural nouns. Examples. There were many people at the wedding. There were 2 apples on the table. There were several mistakes in the report. There were birds in the sky. There were many students in the classroom. Now let us understand a special use of were. Use of were in imaginary situations. Sometimes were is used even with singular subjects when we talk about unreal or imaginary situations. This usually happens in conditional sentences. Examples. If I were rich, I would buy a mansion. If she were here, she would help us. If he were taller, he could play basketball. If I were you, I would study harder. If the weather were better, we would go outside. This is called the subjunctive mood in grammar. In formal English, were is preferred in imaginary situations. Now let us compare was and were side by side. Present tense. I am happy. He is busy. They are students. Past tense. I was happy. He was busy. They were students. This comparison makes the concept easier. Now let us study common mistakes. Common mistakes with was and were. Mistake. They was playing. Correct. They were playing. Mistake. She were absent. Correct. She was absent. Mistake. We was excited. Correct. We were excited. Mistake. You was late. Correct. You were late. Mistake. The boys was shouting. Correct. The boys were shouting. Always remember. Singular subjects usually take was. Plural subjects take were. You always takes were. Now let us understand the topic through daily conversation examples. Conversation example 1. Aisha. Where were you yesterday? Ali. I was at my cousin's house. Aisha. Was the party fun? Ali. Yes, it was amazing. Conversation example 2. Teacher. Why were you absent yesterday? Student. I was sick. Teacher. Were you feeling better today? Student. Yes, I was much better. Conversation example 3. Mother. Where were the children? Father. They were in the garden. Mother. Was the baby sleeping? Father. Yes, she was sleeping peacefully. These conversations show how naturally was and were are used in English. Now let us discuss was and were in storytelling. Storytelling becomes powerful when you correctly use past tense. Example. It was a dark night. The wind was blowing strongly. 2 children were walking through the forest. They were scared because strange sounds were coming from the trees. Suddenly, There was a loud scream. Notice how was and were help create a past atmosphere in stories. Now let us discuss emotional expressions using was and were. Examples. I was shocked. She was disappointed. They were excited. We were worried. He was confused. These sentences describe emotions in the past. Now let us study 5 detailed examples for was. 5 examples of was. Example 1. I was tired after the long journey. Explanation. The subject is I, which is singular, so we use was. Example 2. She was very happy with her exam result. Explanation. She is singular, so was is correct. Example 3. The weather was beautiful yesterday. Explanation. The weather is singular. Example 4. My father was a teacher in 1995. Explanation. My father is one person, so was is used. Example 5. The dog was sleeping near the door. Explanation. The dog is singular. Now let us study 5 examples for were. 5 examples of were. Example 1. They were playing football in the park. Explanation. They is plural. Example 2. We were excited about the trip. Explanation. We is plural. Example 3. You were very kind to me. Explanation. You always takes were. Example 4. The students were silent during the lecture. Explanation. The students is plural. Example 5. My friends were waiting outside. Explanation. My friends is plural. Now let us discuss pronunciation tips. Was is pronounced like woos. Were is pronounced like were. Practice. I was happy. They were ready. Good pronunciation improves fluency and confidence. Now let us study sentence transformation. Present to past. He is hungry. He was hungry. They are busy. They were busy. She is in the room. She was in the room. We are late. We were late. This exercise helps learners understand tense conversion. Now let us discuss how was and were are used in questions with question words. Examples. Where was he? Why were they angry? Who was there? When were you born? How was the movie? These structures are extremely common in spoken English. Now let us discuss short answers. Question. Was she tired? Answer. Yes, she was. No, she wasn't. Question. Were they ready? Answer. Yes, they were. No, they weren't. Short answers are very important in conversations. Now let us discuss was and were in classroom English. Teacher. Who was absent today? Students. Ali was absent. Teacher. Were you doing your homework? Student. Yes, I was. Teacher. Were the questions difficult? Students. No, they weren't. Now let us understand how was and were are used in real life situations. At a restaurant. The food was delicious. At school. The students were attentive. At home. My parents were watching television. At a hospital. The doctor was busy. At a wedding. The guests were excited. Now let us discuss memory tricks. Memory trick for was. Use was with I, he, she, it, single person, single thing. Memory trick for were. Use were with we, you, they, plural people, plural things. Now let us discuss another important point. Difference between was and did. Sometimes learners confuse was with did. Was and were are forms of to be. Did is a helping verb used for actions. Examples. He was tired. He did his homework. She was singing. She did the dishes. So remember, was and were describe state or condition. Did describes action. Now let us study mixed examples. I was reading while they were playing. She was cooking when we were talking. The teacher was explaining and the students were listening. It was raining and people were running for shelter. The baby was crying because the lights were off. These sentences show both was and were together. Now let us discuss advanced understanding. Sometimes was and were are used in polite expressions. Examples. I was wondering if you could help me. We were hoping to meet you. I was thinking about your advice. They were planning to visit us. She was expecting your call. These sentences sound softer and more polite. Now let us do a quick practice exercise. Fill in the blanks. He absent yesterday. Answer. Was. They happy after the match. Answer. Were. I at home last night. Answer. Was. We watching a movie. Answer. Were. The cat under the table. Answer. Was. You very helpful. Answer. Were. Now let us practice correction. Incorrect. She were angry. Correct. She was angry. Incorrect. They was hungry. Correct. They were hungry. Incorrect. We was studying. Correct. We were studying. Incorrect. The boys was noisy. Correct. The boys were noisy. Incorrect. You was sleeping. Correct. You were sleeping. Now let us discuss how was and were improve storytelling and speaking. Without was and were, speaking about the past becomes impossible. These words allow us to describe memories, emotions, situations, and events. For example, yesterday was special. My family was together. We were celebrating my birthday. Everyone was smiling. The atmosphere was joyful. This sounds natural and fluent. Now let us discuss the emotional power of past tense. English becomes expressive when you describe the past clearly. Examples. I was lonely. They were supportive. She was brave. We were hopeful. The night was peaceful. Such sentences help you connect emotionally with listeners. Now let us discuss the importance of practice. Grammar improves through repetition. The more sentences you make with was and were, the stronger your English becomes. Practice daily. Speak aloud. Write short paragraphs. Create conversations. Tell stories using past tense. Now let us create a short paragraph using was and were. Yesterday was an unforgettable day. I was at the beach with my friends. The weather was pleasant and the waves were calm. We were playing volleyball and the children were building sandcastles. There was music everywhere and people were enjoying themselves. At sunset, the sky was orange and pink. Everyone was taking pictures. We were tired at the end of the day, but we were extremely happy. This paragraph shows how naturally was and were are used together. Now let us revise the complete lesson. Was is used with singular subjects. Were is used with plural subjects and you. Was and were are past forms of am, is, and are. They are used in positive, negative, interrogative, and continuous sentences. Was and were are essential for speaking about the past. There was is used with singular nouns. There were is used with plural nouns. Were is also used in imaginary situations like, if I were you. Now let us end with some final examples. I was proud of my success. She was waiting for the bus. He was not ready for the interview. They were dancing at the party. We were discussing our future plans. You were my best friend. The students were preparing for exams. There was a rainbow in the sky. There were many stars at night. If I were a bird, I would fly across the world. And with that, we come to the end of today's lecture. I hope this lesson helped you clearly understand the use of was and were. These two words may seem small, but they are extremely important in English grammar and daily communication. Keep practicing, keep speaking, and keep learning. The more you practice, the more confident and fluent you will become. Thank you for listening, and I will see you in the next lecture. First example, she has gone to her friend's house and will return in the evening. Second example, they have gone to Dubai for a business trip. Third example, he has gone to the office early today for an important meeting. Fourth example, the train has gone already so we missed it. Fifth example, I have gone through the entire report carefully. Now notice something important. Gone always needs helping verbs. Without has or have, it is incomplete. Now let us build a deeper understanding by comparing all three together in real-life thinking. Go is present action or habit. Went is completed past action. Gone is past action with present connection. Now imagine a simple story. A boy wakes up and says, I go to school every day. This is routine. Yesterday he says, I went to school and had a test. This is past experience. Today someone asks where is he and the answer is he has gone to school. This means he is currently not here. Now let us explore common mistakes learners make. Mistake 1. Saying I did went. Correct is I went. Mistake 2. Saying she gone to market. Correct is she has gone to market. Mistake 3. Confusing went and gone in speaking. Now let us make your understanding stronger with a real-life dialogue. Person A asks where is your brother? Person B replies he has gone to the market. Person A asks when did he go? Person B replies he went in the morning. Now you see both words are used correctly in one conversation. Went tells past time. Gone tells present situation. Now let us make learning more interesting with imagination practice. Imagine you are telling a story to your friend. Yesterday I went to a beautiful lake. The water was clear and the weather was amazing. But today my friends have gone there again without me. Now you can see how naturally all three forms can be used in one story. Go, went and gone are not just grammar rules. They are tools of communication. They help you express time, action and situation clearly. Now let us go into advanced understanding. Native speakers do not think about grammar rules while speaking. They use patterns automatically. For example, they never say I did went. They naturally say I went. They never say she gone. They say she has gone. This is why practice is more important than memorization. Now let us practice again with fresh examples. Go examples. I go to school every morning. We go to gym after work. They go to park in the evening. She goes to office by bus. He goes to mosque for prayer. Went examples. I went to Lahore last month. She went to hospital yesterday. They went on a picnic last weekend. We went to a wedding ceremony. He went abroad for studies. Gone examples. She has gone to university. They have gone on vacation. He has gone missing since morning. The bus has gone already. I have gone through all documents. Now let us build final understanding through reflection. Go is present life. Went is past memory. Gone is present absence with past action. If you understand this one idea clearly, you will never be confused again. Before we finish, remember one important thing. Learning English is not about speed. It is about clarity and practice. Speak slowly, think clearly, and use correct forms naturally. Try to make your own sentences daily using go, went and gone. Observe how people use them in real life. Listen carefully to conversations, dramas and speeches. With time, your brain will automatically choose the correct form without thinking. This is the true path to fluency. Keep practicing, keep improving, and keep moving forward in your English learning journey.